people, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi, my name is Alexis Jayda and welcome. Today's notification shout out goes to Pisces. Look, I have never had a Pisces in my life, so when I see your name, it gravitated towards me even more, and I was like, this is a sign. I'm huge on signs. So notification shout out goes to you. Thank you so much for showing me so much love and support. Te quiero mucho. If you guys want to be part of the notification squad, all you have to do is just like the video, be subscribed, and make sure you turn your notifications on so when I go live, you comment and I pick someone the first that comment so you could possibly be the next notification shout out. Let me just say real quick, Happy New Year's! Ooh. So, Happy New Year, you guys. 2021, crazy. It's a new year. It's gonna be amazing. Good energy only. So we're gonna be doing another story time on this pinche nanny. When I did the story time of making her eat, a lot of you guys were like, we gotta hear what happened when you caught her doing the deed. Okay, so I was like, ooh, that's what I'm gonna start it off with. I was gonna tell you guys when I catfish somebody, but that will be next story time. So sit back, relax, and we are gonna get into this story time. If you're eating, you already know the drill. Let me know what you're eating down below. I would love to know. If you're doing your makeup, tag me in your look so I can repost them on my Instagram. Let your girl see what you working with. So I wanted to show you guys what I received. I got this, I purchased it myself. This is from Colourpop. So they were having a sale. And I kept asking you guys, like, should I get it? Should I get it? And a lot of you guys were like, yeah. So when I went to go get it, it was sold out. And I was like, that's the last time I am waiting. Because I kept going back and contemplating, go, should I do it? Should I do it? Do it? And then by the time I wanted it, sold out. And I was like, so what I did, I just kept secretly watching. And then they restocked, boom. But they didn't even tell nobody. And then I ordered it. And I was like, yes. And then I went back a little bit later just to see, you know, and sold out. So I was like, smart. So this is Fade Into the Hue from Colourpop, and this is a rainbow palette. So with this year, I do want to do more colorful looks. I want to step out of my comfort zone. I want to stop being like, no, I can't do that. I can't pull that out. Yeah, just do it. And if it doesn't look good, just wipe it off. Like, how am I going to tell you guys? It's just makeup. Wipe it off. If I don't even follow that motto. So here it is. It matches my nails. I feel like everything matches my nails all of a sudden. Like, ya te crees, huh? Like, everything matches it. Okay, hold on. Fade Into the Hue. Open it. Oh my gosh, it's prettier in person. Like, it's pretty online, but it's even prettier in person. And then I got Soul. This is the body. And I grabbed the shade Dark. And I guess this is supposed to be a dupe for the Huda bronzer, but quien sabe? We will see. Puta. I thought it was a film. You're so stupid, Lex. I thought it was a film, so this whole time I hadn't pulled it back, but it's a top. So I think this color's gonna be good. Okay, that's another thing. When I named the nanny Baltimore, a lot of you guys were thinking I said Baltimore. And I was like reading the comments like, oh no, because like, oh my gosh, like that's no, I wouldn't, no, like I would not be shady like that. People are like, people from Baltimore be like, and I'm like, no, I said Baltimore. I tend to talk with my mouth closed, like I don't know why. So it sounds like I have a mask on sometimes, and I'm like, you guys can't understand what I'm saying, or I don't, like I mispronounce it, or I don't say it correctly. Like teacher, I say that weird, or pancake, I say that weird. So it's Baltimore, you know, este pinche way, this one, okay? So not Baltimore, Baltimore. So that's what we named the pinche perra sucia, the sick dog. It sounds so weird. I know FAMBAM, some FAMBAM are like, Lex, can you translate what you're saying when you say things in Spanish? But it just sounds so weird when you translate it from Spanish to English. Like sometimes it's just like, that don't even sound funny, Lex. And it's like, it sounds funny in Spanish though. Like it's, like she said, what? You know, it's one of those things. Anyways, so me in Baltimore. Oh, and if you're barely watching this story time, go watch the first one so that kind of makes sense why me and this girl don't like each other. So, yeah. Okay, now we're gonna get in. It's like 11 minutes and down. You talk a lot. You breathe too heavy. So, with Baltimore, you guys already know we didn't get along. We don't like each other. Sometimes we would have our moments where we would kind of like cover for each other when something would go down or something was like ruined, something was broken. We would kind of cover each other, be like, oh yeah, like I didn't see that, or I didn't see nothing, you know. And then other times Baltimore would just pull the rug from underneath me, and I'd be like, oh shit, like, oh, we're not cool. Oh, okay. And so I would do petty things back. Well, like I said, I have lots of stories about this freaking biche because I was with this family for a while. This day in particular, I knew something was going to happen because Baltimore was acting a little bit too nice. Too nice in the sense of like, if I had to change a dirty diaper, oh no, I got it. No, it's okay. No, I got it. No, I got it. No, it's okay. And I'd be like, are you sure? Yeah, it's fine. Like, it's fine. No, go start over there, you know? And so I kind of knew something was cooking, and I just didn't look in the pot yet. So be careful with people like that. If they're normally shady and all of a sudden they want to be your friend, watch out. With the dirty diaper, I didn't have to change. I was like, oh, okay. There's dirty dishes. She's like, no, está bien. It's okay. I'll do it. Okay. The Peach family was going to go and see her mother. So they were going to be out and they were going to take the children with them. And they needed us to stay the night to sit the house. Now, normally the nanny could have just stayed, but Peach, you could tell she was like, no. Like she was already feeling like something was up because sometimes her phone would go missing and she would come to me and be like, Alexis, you know where my phone's at? And I'd be like, no, I don't. And then it'd randomly pop up, okay? And sometimes the call log would just be cleared out. Very suspicious. And her husband, Peach's husband, would be like, why is it cleared out? Like, what are you doing? What are you hiding? He's bien celoso, really jealous. And so she would start catching an attitude with me because she thought it was me. And it's like, girl, I got my own phone. What the like, I ain't trying to do anything shady. Like, what the hell? So her phone would go missing sometimes. And she was already like, what the heck is going on, you know? And I think she knew since it wasn't me because I ain't had nothing to hide. Because there'd be times where I'd be like, check my phone or call the number back if like if there was a chance that, you know, nothing was deleted, or I don't know, call your cell phone provider, do something. Like, it's not me. Like, I hate when you're being blamed for something and you're just like, show your cards. What you got? What you got on me? Show the cards. Show me the evidence. Show me. Because I ain't got nothing to hide. Show me right now. So I was kind of giving her that attitude sometimes because I didn't like that since I was the young one, they automatically assumed like I was the little mocosa that was playing tricks. Tricks are for kids. What the fuck you mean? So she was already feeling some way. You can just already tell. I could tell with the vibe. I'm huge on vibes. Like, I always sense when something's off. Sometimes my baby like, you're reading too much into it, but I know. I know when people be switching up or when I catch something, or I just know. And if you're huge on your tuition, then you know what I mean. I know there's gonna be some people who are like, no, she probably just had diarrhea. No, no ma'am. So anyway, so she asked me if I could stay the night. And so I was like, okay, like, sure. She's like, we'll pay you a little bit extra. Is that okay? So I was with the ex, and a lot of you guys already know that he was bien celoso, like really jealous. He was pretty much like, had me así, and I was always scared, you know, but I needed this freaking money. So I told him that I was going to be staying at my mom's. It's irrelevant to the story, but just saying, giving you guys the details, all of it, not just a steak, todo, okay? I tell him like, hey, I'm going to be at my mom's. I'm not going to be home, yada, yada, yada. Peachy tells me right from the get, nobody is invited over. Nadie. Nobody. I don't want no one in my house. I don't want no one on my new couches. I don't want no one anywhere. No one is allowed in my room. In the other room. Don't go in my room, you know? And there was a few times I did go in her room though, just like to look around. Just because they were fancy. And they had nice stuff. And I remember looking at their stuff, and I remember telling myself like, one day. You know, one day. She made it very clear no one was allowed in the house. Period. No friends, no amigas, nadie. And she's like, tell your mom that she can't come over during this time. She was just really strict. And I was like, the hell you mean? Like, I'm not going to tell my mom she cannot come, because then it's going to be more suspicious. She's going to be like, what are you talking about? I can go over if I want, you know? I swear, like, that's how my mom was. Like, if I tell her, like, don't do this, she'd be like, why? So, yeah. So we're having a cool night. We go out and get some snacks and stuff because they wanted us to make sure that we were comfortable, because it might be 1 day, 2 days. She just said, we'll let you know. That's how she said it, okay? And I was like, well, I need to know, because I need to know if I'm going to spend the night one night or 2 nights, because I need to let my mom know. I need to let, like, him know. Like, I need some information, ma'am. Like, I can't just be acting like I'm grown, even though I was acting like I was grown. And so she just said, like, we'll let you know, Alexis. And I'd be like, okay, ma'am. At the same time, I didn't want to push it with her because they paid me and I need money. I was noticing that Nanny was getting strawberries and she was getting some chocolate, and she was like, we're gonna have like a nice girls night. We're gonna have, you know, we're gonna dip them in this, and like we don't have to share with the kids, and you know, just trying to like geek me up, like, oh my god, yay, you can spend time with me. And there were some times where this freaking female, I wasn't call her a bad name, I don't need to swear all the time, she would try to play me like that, where she would try to like be motherly towards me, because there was a 15-year gap. So she would try to be like motherly to me, like if I was gonna be like, yes, please, please, like if I needed, like, no, get out of my face, like, oh. And I would notice it too, because even though I acted like a pendeja sometimes, I was no pendeja, okay? I knew what she was baiting me with, and I was just sitting there just munching on it, just taking it but not taking the full bait. You ain't gonna hook me in. Okay, so this, I get so hyped when I talk about her, because I just get so like, so mad. It makes my ass hurt. We got some good snacks going. The Peaches family is getting ready. They're saying their goodbyes. They left pretty like early, like in the afternoon. So we had the whole day to ourselves. Now we were just doing like random weird crap. Like we didn't know what to do. We were just like, okay, like what's life without watching these kids, you know? So we were just in the house by ourselves. We were making snacks, making some nacho cheese, and just chilling and watching movies. She was being super nice. I knew she had like a boyfriend. I didn't really know much about this girl because she would lie so much. She told me that she had a boyfriend or a husband in Mexico. Then she would tell me that she didn't. And then she'd tell me that she had one here. And then her lies were just, and so I knew that she would lie so much because she never wanted to get caught. And so I started just kind of just paying attention a little bit more when she would tell me things or names or whatever. So she's on her phone and she just giddy, like super giddy, and just laughing away. And I'm just like, okay. And we were having like a cute, you know, moment watching shows. She was laughing on her phone. I had a mask on. She was telling me that to put toothpaste on my pimples. I have heard of doing that, so I was like, okay. My dumbass puts it on my whole face. I was icy because I had like a little breakout, and I was like, I'm just gonna do my whole face to prevent any more future breakouts. Don't do that. My face is red as fuck. So it was beet red. Okay, so I just leave it on. We're chilling. She's laughing on her phone, like stupid laughing, like, oh hi, like, oh my god, you're so funny, like to herself. Okay. And I was just like, oh my god, don't ask Lex. Like, don't ask. Like, you know how stupid you're going to look, because then she's going to be like, why do you care? Or something, you know what I mean? Because, again, this female was rude. So I had to just kind of just look at her, and I'd be like, you know, like what? Like, what did he say? Like, in the movie, you know, the movie that we're watching. And she'd be like, oh, no, nada. You know, like, oh, nothing. And so I'd be like, oh, okay. And so I took that, like, she ain't trying to tell me anything, you know? And so then we're chilling a little bit more later. I'm gonna go take a shower, just wind down, take a shower, chilling in the bubble bath because they had a nice tub that was just jetted. I felt fancy. I was like, I don't gotta watch no kids, so I can just enjoy this bubble bath. As I'm enjoying this bubble bath, I hear walking coming to the room that I'm in while I'm taking this bubble bath. And I was just like, oh my god, this is how I'm gonna die. You know, you start thinking about like stupid stuff, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay. I call out for her, you know, pendeja. Just kidding. I'm a Baltimore. And she ain't say nothing. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, don't think too much into it, Lex. Don't think too much. Like, you're setting yourself up, you know? And I didn't hear nothing. So I was like, what the hell? So the door was locked, the one I was in, because I was like, I always lock doors. No lock doors. I always lock doors because you just never know. I lock the doors on my own kids because I'm like, no. Just kidding. But no, seriously. So the door was locked, and so I get up, open it, and I see her walking down the stairs. And I was like, you didn't hear me calling you? And she's like, okay. No, I didn't hear you. I was like, why are you up here? So it was Peach's room, 3 other rooms, then the big ass bathtub, okay? And then there were stairs. There was just no reason for her to be up there. Her bedroom wasn't even up there. So I'm like, what are you doing up here? And she goes, oh, I thought I heard something, but it's you taking a shower. I'm like, I'm taking a bath, but you knew I was gonna take a bath. And then she's like, aye, like she got annoyed. So I was like, okay, there she is. There she is. So then I just closed the door because I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. Like, I hate when someone wants to catch an attitude with you, like if just because you're asking the right questions. Like, I'm asking the right questions, bitch. How you gonna make me feel like I'm crazy for asking you questions? But it's just because people are like, I can't think of a fast lie, you know? So that's why. So I finished my bath. Texting the ex at the time, and he's like, you know, being super dry with me. It's making me feel some way because he was a cheater. So I was like, what's going on? So I had a little attitude when I went back downstairs after I was done with my me time, you know? So I went downstairs, had a little attitude, and she's on her phone, and she has a little attitude too. Like, she does not look like she's in a good mood all of a sudden, you know? So we're both just looking like pito face, like looking at our phones. She asked me how my bath was and stuff, and that, oh my gosh, baths are so gross, blah 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 blah, and just trying to make me feel some way for wanting to take a bath. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you're just sitting around in your filth. And so we started getting super catty about it. And so I tell her, well, okay, that's why you let the water run, you scrub yourself down, and you bathe yourself first before you plug it to make the water fill up. And then after you're like done washing yourself, then you plug the water, and then, well, you rinse yourself off, then you plug the water. And so I'm like, oh my God, like fighting with her, like, and it felt like she was just trying to fight with me for no reason, because I knew to shower baths too. So I was like, okay, like what the hell, you know? So we were just, it felt like a fight for no reason. Like, it was just, she wanted to anger me. And she tries telling me, like, I don't even know why you're here. Like, why they want you here. Like, did you say something? Like, does your mom not want you home? Again, with the mom thing, you know? It's like, she already knows. Like, let's not play stupid. Ya tú sabes. You already know I don't got no mom right now. Okay? So, I just roll my eyes and I just tell her, she needs Jesus. Okay? I'm like, you just... I was like, oh, Makiage Gordo, you know? Which pretty much says, like, I ain't fucking with you. You give me a bad vibe. I don't like you. If you guys can explain what Makiage Gordo down below, help fan out, I would appreciate it. So I just pretty much told her like, Makiage Gordo. And so she gasped, like, if I just, okay? And she gets all mad. So I'm like, I don't even care. So after I took this bath, you know how when you go swimming, you feel kind of hungry? I was feeling like that. I was like, damn, that was a good ass bath. I feel like I need to up and freaking eat a big old snack. So I starts making my food, and I know she puts on some music, and it's pretty loud. And I guess I've always been the type where it's like, it don't gotta be that loud. Like, I need my eardrums, you know? So it was playing really loud. And I swear I heard someone like walking upstairs, and I was like, nah, I'm tripping. And then I was like, is she playing the music so that I don't hear what's going upstairs? And I just kind of started, like, you know how sometimes you think something and you're like, no, there's like no way. Like, you're thinking too much. Stop. I'm exhausted, you know? And so I tell her, I'm like, lower the music. She's like, ay, ¿por qué? And I was like, because I said so. Can you lower the music? And I'm like, serious. And I said that, like, because I said so. Which was like, respect your elders, Alexis. Like, what you mean because you said so? And so she lowers it and she's like, ¿qué? You know? And she starts texting on her phone, and I'm like, I think there's someone upstairs. And she tells me that, no, it's probably the bathtub, that the water's still probably draining. And I'm like, no. Because I made sure to watch it go down. Because, like, after you use the bathtub and stuff, you have to clean it. Just in case, like, there's any, like, nasty stuff. Whatever. You know? And she's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's the pipes. It's an old house. You think? And, you know, I'm like being genuine with her. Like, for real? Because in the back of my mind, I was like, there's no way that she would sneak someone in. Because, like, you're not that stupid. Right? You know, because they were pretty strict. Like, even though she was their family, they were really strict with, like, don't touch this, don't use this, you can have all of this, but don't touch this. Like, very, very strict. And Peach dad kind of just gave me the vibe of, like, I'll beat ass if I have to, you know? And I didn't like that vibe. So I was just like trying to listen, and she's like going away at her phone. And I'm like telling her like, I can't hear when you're doing that. And she's like, it's nothing. It's nothing. And so I'm like, okay. And so she turns the music up super loud and I don't hear any more footsteps. So I was like, okay, like you're tripping, Lex. Like you were just tripping. You're on something. Quit, you know? And so I'm eating my food and her mood just changes. Like just changes from like having like a bitchy face to like so nice. And she comes and she is like, can I try some? Because I had made some food, you know? And I was like, sure. Because I've never been one to be, you know, codo when it comes to food, you know? Stingy with food. So I was like, yeah, sure. And she was like, que rico. Like this tastes so good. And it's just like, it's just a sandwich. Okay? Like don't toot my horn. But go ahead and toot it if you want. So I was like, it's just a sandwich. And she was like, no, it's so good. Like, it's so good. And so then she starts telling me and stuff that like, how does the ex feel that I'm spending the night? And I wanted to tell her like, oh, he don't know. He thinks I'm at my mom's house. You know what I mean? But I was like, oh, she's playing you, Lex, so don't even try it. And at the same time, the ex knew this family. And so that's something I told Peaches too. Like, hey, don't let him know that I'm spending the night here because he's going to flip out and it's going to be a fight. You know what I mean? And so she made sure not to tell. And I told her, don't tell Baltimore either because I know he's going to find out if she knows. And she was like, okay. So I was making sure that like, okay, Alexis, like, don't get too excited. Like, she ain't your friend. You desperate bitch. Stop. So she's like telling me and stuff like, how come you don't invite him over? We can't invite our friends over. Like, they'll never know. Red flag, red flag, red flag. I was like, you know what? Let's hear what she has to say. She's like, yeah, invite them over. And I was like, I can't trust you. And I tell her, like, I can't trust you. And maybe that was a little harsh, but it's true. Like, I can't trust you. And she was like, come on. And I was like, I was like, you can invite your friend. She's like, no, because then you're going to tell on me. I was like, why would I tell on you? Like, I'm not gonna, that's like something petty. And so she says, but I'm like that. Yes, ma'am. I was like, you're dressed in it. So she starts saying like, no, she wouldn't, you know, and me insulting her, telling her that like, you're dressed in it. I knew any other time she would have been pissed because when I would be petty and say some slick shit out of the mouth, she would nip me right quick. You know, she would not even let me do a sigh or a or even breathe too heavy because then she would be like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know what you're doing. I know you're kind. And it's just, she just had something against me. Like, I don't know what this pinche vieja culera had against me, but she's crazy. So I was like, okay. And so when she didn't even insult me, I was like, something's up. So we're going back and forth and she's like telling me like, you can trust me. And I'm like, but can I? So we're going back and forth. I'm like, no, like you can't trust her. Lex, like don't be stupid. Like don't be dumb. You can't trust her. She's weird. Something's up. Something just didn't feel right in my like corazon. My heart, it just didn't feel right. So me and her are going back and forth. She's like, you can trust me. I was like, She's like, yeah, you can. I was like, no, ma'am, I cannot. So my phone goes off and it is Peach. And she's just asking like for a little update. How are things? How are we getting along? And if she's being nice. And I'm like, yeah, things are going great. You know, just giving her an update, asking her how things going. And she's telling me that like her and her mom are already getting into it. And just pretty much just telling me that they might come home early just because it's just not what she's expecting. So Baltimore asks me, what did she say? And I'm like, oh, she didn't text you? And she's like, oh, I don't know, my phone's over there. Just nonchalant, you know? And I'm like, oh, nothing. She just asked what we were doing and she was like, oh, okay. And then she asked, like, did she tell you when she's gonna be back? I was like, she's maybe thinking of saying like 2 or 3 days. Things are going well. Because I already felt something was off. Like, go with your gut. I felt it. It was marinating. I was like, something ain't right. So she asks me what time I'm gonna go to bed. And I tell her when I go to sleep. Who asked that? What time are you gonna go to sleep? When I feel like it. Like, that's just weird, okay? And I used to do that shit with my mom. So I already knew something was up because I would always tell mom, like, Mom, are you feeling tired, Mom? And my mom knew it too. Like, why, Jade? I'm like, I'm just asking. Are we gonna go to bed? You wanna go to bed right now? Because I was trying to sneak out, you know? So I already knew, like, first of all, why are you asking me? That's weird. What's going on? So I knew something was up. Like, it was just it is not peaches and cream over here. And so I tell her like when I go to sleep, and she was like, no sabes cuando, like you don't know when you're gonna go to sleep. And I tell her, I'm like, you're being weird, what's going on? And that just makes her just like be a bitch. She's like, you see, this is why I don't even try with you. This is why nobody tries with you. That's why you get hit. And she was referring to the freaking ex. So I was just like, okay, you're nasty. And I tell her, I'm like, you're nasty. And so I just go sit down and I start texting him. He ain't replying, he's kind of dry. So I still got kind of like a little attitude going on. And she just stays over there because she probably knows like, because she would always do that. She would throw like low ass blows when I would just be like, black, pew, 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 pew. And she'd be like, that's why your mom don't want you. That's why your mom rather be in the streets. That's why this, that's why that, that's why da, 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 da. Just tear me the fuck down. And I'd be like, all right. And I would just walk away. Because what can you say to that? Especially being like a young teen and you're going through all the bull crap that you have gone through. When someone puts you down like this, it just puts you back in that mindset of like, you feel like you ain't shit. You know what I mean? So we're not talking. I'm pissed off because I'm like, you're a dick. Like, you really are a dick, you know? So the night is passing. So she tells me she's going to leave for a little bit and that she'll be back. And I don't even acknowledge her. I don't even look her way because I really give no F's where she's going. So she leaves for a little bit. I'm just on my phone, talking to my grandma, catching up with my grandma a little bit. Like, okay, how are things? You know, because even though I wasn't living at home, I still try to connect with my grandma as much as I possibly can. We weren't super close back then. I feel like now, as time has passed, it's gotten a lot better. But before, it wasn't the best, especially because my grandma had her feelings towards what was going on. And she just expected so much of me, and there's only so much I could do. So whenever I did get a chance to talk to her, I kind of would just get really emotional and we would cry. And that's really not relevant to the story, but it kind of is because I was exhausted after we talked. Like, have you ever talked to someone that you love very much and you just feel so exhausted after you're done talking to them? Because it's just very mentally like draining. So I knock out right there on the couch. Like, I just knock out. I wake up to her opening the door because I could hear the keys, and I just like woke up and it's her, and she just, you know, like, oh, it's me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just go right back to sleep. And she tells me like, good night. I'm like, good night. Honestly, don't know what time it was, but I was like, good night. The next day, and breakfast is already made. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, when she leaves, I don't even think about going upstairs. Like, I know, like, now when I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, why didn't you go upstairs if you thought you like heard something and she just left? But I didn't even think about it. It was just like poof. And I was talking to my grandma, and like I was just like, you know, telling her this, that. And so I didn't even think anything of it. I didn't even think like something could have happened, like someone could have been in the house. Didn't think anything of it because I was just so into the combo that me and my grandma were having. And I was just poof. I'm telling you guys, poof. I paid no mind to it. The next day, I wake up and there is some breakfast made, and she's like talking to me and stuff, and she's like asking me like how'd you sleep? And I'm like, good. And she's like, yeah, bueno, you looked really exhausted. And I was like, yeah. I don't know why I told her, but I did. And I was like, I talked to my grandma, and it's just a lot. And she was like, no, like, lo siento, like, oh, I feel you. And I was like, yeah, it's just a lot. And I just like break down because I am a child, y'all. I am a child. So there's only so much that like you can just hold, you know, and it was a lot. So I broke down to her, and I was just like, yeah, like, it's just really hard. And she's like, how come you're not living with your grandma? And I'm like, it's complicated, you know. And so I just had a moment with her, and so we kind of connected on that, and she was kind of nice to me throughout the day, but she had a secret agenda. Don't be nice to her. And she's like telling me and stuff like, oh, like she never knew that and stuff, and like now it makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not a bitch because I want to be a bitch. Like I was built a bitch, you know. So she's being a little bit nicer to me that day, and we're kind of just like getting along. Something funny would be on the TV, we both laugh, and it was just like, okay, good vibes, you know, like, okay, you whatever, you know. And so she brings up the topic again of how come you don't invite the novio over? Maybe he'll make you feel better. And I was like, no, Peach, I feel like we'll find out. And she's like telling me like, no, like I won't say anything. So when they were gone, Peach did tell me to get down the photo albums from her. She had some photo albums that she wanted to go through because she wanted to give them to a family member. And she told me to get them down from the attic and stuff. I didn't like going up there because I'm always scared of like rats and stuff. And so I hadn't gotten them down yet. So Peaches calls Baltimore and she asks her like, oh, did Alexis get the photos down yet? And Baltimore tells her, oh yeah, she did. Lies for me, right? And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, don't do it, Lex. Like, don't, you know? But little me, I just smiled at her like, okay, I see. We bonded, you know? Maybe she just needed to know a little bit more. Maybe it was gonna open her up to be nicer to me, because now she knows that like my grandma, you know, and me and like the situation, todo, whatever. Like, you know, just being naive, especially if you were kind of like in a situation like me. Any sort of like comfort or attention, it makes you want to believe that there could maybe possibly be some good left in the world. So I took it. I was like, okay. So she gets off the phone and I'm like, oh my god, like, why did you tell her that? And she's like, no, it's okay, like they're not gonna be back for a couple of days, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. So I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, you know, thanks. So the day goes on and she's getting down on a meal. Like, she's really getting down. It's like super good. Remember I told you she knew how to cook, she knew how to get down. So I was like, hell yeah. So she brings it up again, like, oh, you should, you know, write him. I'm like, dude, no, like, I don't want to. And at the same time, like, I wanted a break from him. Like, he's not someone who I like to see all the time, you know? So I was like, if you want, you can have someone. She was like, no, like, you're gonna tell on me, like, and I'm like, no, I won't. I was like, you covered for me. Even though it wasn't a huge thing, it was something tiny. I was like, no, go ahead, you know? And she was like, en serio? Like, for real? I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, because I'm gonna tell you something. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking she's gonna tell me she has like 2 Sanchos or something, which she did. And no, it wasn't. She's like, he's already upstairs. And I just like, I was like, I knew it. I was like, so yesterday when I heard something, she's like, see, like that. I'm just like, stupid bitch. Because I'm thinking in my head, boom, gotcha. You know? But I was like, nah, I'm gonna let this play out. Because you never show your cards immediately. You let them think. You let them put a poker face on. Poker face, bitch. So I'm like, oh, you're so bad. I was like, oh my god, I knew it, you know? And so she goes upstairs and she brings him down. And I'm like, wait, what room? And she was like, telling me Peach's room. I was like, oh my god. She's like, no, I'm gonna wash the sheets. It's okay. And I was like, you're so crazy. Like, oh my god, you know? And he wasn't even all that. So I was like, okay, whatever. Do you. He was just like, oh, hey, you know? He was bilingual. And he was just like asking me and stuff. Like, how long have I worked there? You know, just like casual, just like talking. And I could just see her just as we were talking, like you can just tell she was just like scared, you know? And I wouldn't. I'm not about that. I'm always about like, no. Especially like if you could mess with that, ugh, like no, you're gross, you're nasty, you're disgusting. Get the fuck out of my face. Like no. So I was just keeping it like whatever. I wasn't like, oh my god, I love it here. Oh my god, best job ever. Love it. I wasn't even like that. I was just like, I've been working here. Like I had like a shit face. Like I could smell shit. Like, yeah, yeah. Like that's exactly how my face was. So I don't know why she was looking at me like what are you doing? Like talking to him when like I had that face on. You know what I mean? Like, don't even worry. Like what the fuck? So we're just talking, we're grubbing together, and I'm like asking him like, how the hell did you get in? And he tells me and stuff like, oh, like when you're in the shower. I don't know why they keep saying shower. Like I was taking a freaking bath. He's like, when you were in the shower, she snuck me upstairs. He's like, she's crazy. Like I told her like she's so crazy. And oh, I'm just like, first of all, calm your tits. That's what he kept doing, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like chillax. Like what the hell? Like you doing the most right now, bud. And so I was telling her, I was like, I knew I wasn't crazy. Like I know I heard something. And she was like telling me and stuff like, yeah, like I just didn't know, like, if you were gonna tell and stuff. And he starts, like, trying to chime in too, and he was like, yeah, she was just telling me, like, you're so uptight. And I was like, I'm the uptight one. I was like, no, she's rude. I was like, that's the only reason. I was like, we can be cool, but she's rude. And he was like, nah, she's just a sweetheart. And I was like, no, she's not. He was like, yeah, she's just acts like she's tough, but she's not. She's all stop, like, you know. And I'm just sitting there like, ugh. And it's so funny because at that time I thought like they were so like old, but like I'm around that age now, so I'm like, okay. Like you always think that like someone's older, you know, until like you're that age and you're like, that's not even old, I'm young, okay, you know. So anyways, that was a side. That was just me ranting about like how I feel inside. I really like how the eyes came out though. So I do want to play with this. If you guys have seen my PR, I received this in the mail. So let's see. It's not going to be a full day wear since it's already pretty late, but I do want to see how it does go on the face. And then I'll do a separate video just wearing it a little bit longer. I think I am this one. It kind of has like it has like a shine in there. You guys see that? Hold on, let me see. You guys see like the shine? So like they're laughing. They're being super corny with each other. Little me inside, I was like, that's cute. Like how they were being and stuff. I was like, okay, whatever, you know. And me and the ex, we were not like that. So I was just like, oh, like that's like super cute, you know. He was just like going around. She was like washing dishes. He was like hugging up on her neck. And I was just like, that's cute. That's something I want. Fast forward in the future, that's me and my babe. So then we get a phone call and it is the Peaches. And I answered, I'm like, hey, hello. She's like, hi, Lex. Just wanted to check in, make sure everything's good. How's everything? And I'm like, everything's good. She asks me if, damn, that's just squirting out. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. You guys see that? Like that like squirted out. She's like asking me if I'm around Baltimore. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's right here. And she's like, walk away, I need to ask you something. I'm like, okay. And so instead of just being like obvious as hell, like, oh, you want me to walk away? Or like, yeah, she's right here, you know? So she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, she's right here. And then I was like, oh yeah, I think so, let me go check. And so her face gets all paranoid, like, what, you know? And I was like, she wants me to check something that she wanted you to do. She's like, oh, okay, you know? And so I go into like the laundry room and I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like asking me like, is everything okay? And I'm like, why, what's wrong? And she tells me like, oh, I heard the argument about last night. And I was like, what argument? And she told me that Baltimore was saying that I had like a little attitude and that I was using their bathroom and that I was just being a little bitch and I was acting so different since she wasn't there, and that I was doing the most. I was touching things I wasn't supposed to. And I'm like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah, like I know, like it doesn't sound like, no, like I don't believe her, but I just wanted to make sure, like, is everything okay? I wanted to hear pretty much like your side. First of all, formula, super lightweight. It just got dirty, like super dirty. Like it just went. I see coming out. Sucia. It's not even the first date. So I'm like, wait, what? And she was like telling me and stuff that like, yeah, that I was just. Do you guys see that? Oh my god. Oh my god. Yes. That if I was okay, and that she said that she was being nasty too. That she said some things. And that she had told me what she had mentioned and stuff, how she was like, that's what she gets your ass beat, you know? So I was like, yeah. And she's like, are you okay? Like, she shouldn't have said that. Like, she even feels bad that she said it. And I was like, well, she hasn't even apologized. And so she's like, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, she's just acting really suspicious. And she's like, what do you mean, like, suspicious? I was like, yeah, she's just acting weird. She's being, like, super nice to me. And she's like, no, maybe because she feels bad. I was like, no, maybe because she's up to something. And she's like, what? I was like, I don't know. Like, I just have a feeling like maybe she's up to something. She's like, well, when you find out, let me know. And I was like, okay. And she was like, but she's not doing anything she's not supposed to. Like, no one's going in our room. Like, they were making sure that we were not going in the room. I was like, yeah, like, I'm not going in your room. As an adult, now I understand what's like, don't go in the room. Like, now I understand that. But as a child, I was just like, why not? What you got in there, you little freak? You know, but no. So she was like, is anyone going to the room? And I was like, no, like, no. And then I was like, you know what? Well, I don't know, because I passed out. And she's like, what do you mean you passed out? I was like, yeah, last night I was talking to my grandma and I fell asleep. I was like, it was, you know, not too late, not too early. And she asks me and stuff like, well, where was Baltimore? I was going to say her name. Where was Baltimore? And I was like, I don't know. no. And then she's like, hi, Alexis. Like, you could tell she's getting kind of flustered, you know? And I'm like, I was doing it on purpose. I was like putting my foot on the pedal, like, chee, you know? And I was like, I don't know. But when I woke up and stuff, I seen her coming downstairs. She's like, downstairs? And I was like, yeah. She's like, her room's not upstairs. I was like, yeah, but I don't know. I was like, maybe she was using the restroom? I don't know. She's like, yeah, maybe. I was like, but she didn't have any clothes with her. So I know she wasn't taking a shower. And so I was just like, you know, I knew what I was doing. But I was pissed because I was like, how the hell are you're gonna call Peach and you're gonna complain about me? You're gonna tell me all this, and then the next day, like, you don't think Peach is gonna tell me. But at the same time, I was reading a few of your guys' comments because you guys were like, Peach sounds like a little instigator. She was. Now that I think about it, she was. Like, she was. Like, you know what you were doing too. Like, why were you doing that? So, anyways, we hang up. I go back over there and I'm still eating. And she's like, what did she say? And I was like, oh, she just wanted to make sure that, you know, like our chores were done and stuff. I was like, stuff like that. And like other stuff about house stuff. I was like, you know, I didn't want her to hear you guys talking or something like that. She's like, oh, no. Okay. You know, like, just super happy, whatever. And then she offers me a beer because he bought some beer. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. Thank God I didn't, because you never know what could have happened. Because, what if they would have, like, I don't know. I don't just drink with anybody. Like, I just don't. And if I do, my babe is there just in case things don't go good, you know? Don't ever drink around people that you just met, or not even just met. Like, people that just don't vibe with you like that. Like, how are you going to trust them in a situation like that? If something bad were to happen, they would just bury me in the backyard. Like, it would be nothing to them, you know? And especially because, like, my mom was in the picture. Like, ain't nobody gonna come looking for me. Like, who's coming to look for Alexis? Raise of hands. Okay, thank you. Nadie, you know? So I was like, oh, no, thank you. She's like, come on, like, just have fun. I was like, no, like, I'm okay. And so he tries to peer pressure me into it too. He's like, come on, let's take a shot. And I was like, I said no. And so he kind of gets like, he's like, oh, she is kind of a bitch, huh? I see. And she goes, no, don't say that. She's like, no, she's not. She just doesn't feel comfortable. Because she was probably like, oh, like, let's not piss her off, because I would have called real quick, like, no, don't. What are you doing? You know? So she was making sure that he wasn't, like, bugging me either, because she didn't want me to go and rat, you know? They're chilling on the couch with me, and, like, they're drinking their beers, whatever. They're having a good time. I'm not really paying any mind to them too much, because it's just weird. Like, I feel like the third wheel. But at the same time, like, I didn't want to call my boyfriend and be like, oh, yeah, come over, because it was just, there was no need for it, because in my gut, I had a feeling that Peaches was never going to be gone for more than 2 days. Like, never gone more than one, like, I feel like one night, like, but not two. Like, I just had a feeling, especially because Peach didn't really get that along with her mother too much, and they had, like, their own family drama, which I don't want to get that much into it, because, like, at the end of the day, it's not my business to be telling, you know? So I knew that she wasn't going to be gone for too long. That blended in like butter. I didn't want to chance it, and I just didn't want to ruin that trust with Peaches and Mr. Peach, because it just wasn't going to be a good look. So they're drinking, they're having fun. He's being, like, a little bit too touchy with her, and I was just getting kind of like, oh, like, go away. The room that I was staying in didn't have a TV, so I was just like, okay, like, y'all have to go. So I was telling her and stuff, like, ew, go to the room, you know? And she was like, oh my God, like, stop. We'll call him Cheese. She's like, stop, Cheese, like, quit, like, behave, you know? He was like, shut up, like, you know you like it. And I was just being like little nasties. We weren't cool like that. I wasn't like her sister or anything like that. It wouldn't have been cool either if I was her sister, but it was just like nasty. And so I was already getting like uncomfortable. And so she just looks at me and she's like, I'm gonna go upstairs. Is that okay? And I was like, go. Like, you should have went a long time ago. She starts laughing, and they're upstairs, and oh my gosh, you guys, I felt like the ceiling was going to fall on me. How intense, like, they were just going at it like bunnies. So to distract myself, I call my friend. Me and this friend are like super close. Like, maybe one day I'll show her. She doesn't really like being on camera because she's just super like, no, that's not my world. And I'm like, totally understand. So anyways, if she sees this, hey bitch, I love you. So I call her and I'm like telling her what's going on. She's like, oh my God, like, why aren't you calling Peach already? Have her come home and beat her ass. And I'm just laughing. I'm like, right? Because Peach is like really like, no, she doesn't like anybody in her room. Like, nobody. Like even when her mom would come over and she had to do something, like it was very rare that you see her mother in her room. Like she'd be like, I'll be right back, ma. Like it was just like, don't go to her room. I don't know, maybe they were a little kinky, I don't know. But when I was in there kind of snooping around, I never really saw anything. But at the same time, I never really like went through shit, because I was always like, I'm gonna get caught, I'm gonna get caught. Like I always felt like there was just cameras, like, and I was just like, oh my god, that's gonna be me, you know what I mean? Like, what were you doing in there, you know? So I never really wanted to chance it. She was like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you call her? And I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. And so she was like, a little instigator too. She's like, I don't want to tell you this, but I was just talking to this like mutual person that we knew, right? And by chance, so did Baltimore. And so she was telling me like, yeah, like I was at this quinceañera and they were like complaining about you. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, yeah, she was saying that like how she had to pick up all your slack and that you didn't know how to do this right and you didn't know how to do that. And it was just like, they were just pitying you, that like, why were you there? And that you were just making her job harder. And so I was just like, what the fuck? She's like, yeah, dude, so like fuck her and call Peach. And so I was low-key getting like, oh my god, like what is up with this girl? Like I have no beef with her. Well, like I do have beef with her, but like I never did anything to personally like oh, I know why she don't like me, like, you know what I mean? Like I never did anything like that. So I was just taken back and I was like, are you serious? Now this friend, I would call her Skillet, she never lied to me like that. So I was like, so I just took her word for it, you know? And I was like, oh my god. She was like, yeah, I had to let them know, like that's my friend, like what are you guys talking about? Like she's the, you know, that Baltimore was toxic. And they're like, well, that's just what we heard, that's just what we heard, you know, typical tias, like all chismosas. And so she's like, well, you heard wrong, like that's not what happened. I was just getting kind of like, so I was getting kind of upset. You can hear like the, and then she wasn't quiet either, you know, she was like stroking his ego pretty much. And it was so embarrassing because Skillet could hear too. And she was like telling me like, dude, that's so uncomfortable. Like, why are they putting you in that uncomfortable situation? I'm like, right? And she was telling me stuff like to have either the ex come and stuff, because she was like, what if they want to do something with you? Like, you just never know. Like, what if she low-key likes you or something? I'm like, ew, dude, gross. Like, no. She's old enough to like be like my mom or something. Like, gross. No. You know? She's like, dude, you never know. She's like, be safe. At the time, Peaches just texts me. I think she just had like a gut feeling, you know? And she was like, hey, just checking in, everything going good. And I'm like, it's okay. I keep it short. I keep it short. I'm not one to keep things short really, unless like I'm in a hurry or whatever. Like, if you know, you know. She's like, what's wrong? And I was like, to be honest, I honestly feel like she's up to something, like I don't know. And so she tells me stuff like, we might just be coming home anyways, me and mom aren't getting along great, and I just want to go home. I don't like sleeping away from home. Well, yeah, like whatever makes you feel more comfortable, you know? And it was already like it was getting late already. Like it was already getting late. I was like, oh, okay, so you're coming tomorrow? And she's like, I don't know yet. We'll just see how things go. But what are you talking about? Like, what's your feeling? And so me, like a little mocosa, I was like, you know, I just don't know. I was like, I just feel like something's like up. And she's like, well, what is she doing? I was like, well, she's upstairs. And she's like, is she in my room? I was like, no, like, I don't know. I was like, I don't want to go up there because I don't want her thinking that like I'm talking to you and like I'm telling on her. She's like, no, like I won't say anything. And I was like, I think she's in your room. I was like, I know for sure she's been using your bathroom. And she was like, why haven't you told her anything? I was like, it's not my place. Like, and it's honestly not. Like, it's not my place to be like checking a 30-year-old. Like, who? What? Like, what are you talking about? How is that my place, ma'am? I can't tell her anything. Like, that's weird. So you can tell she's getting annoyed with me. Like, she's getting annoyed because I'm like, she kind of knows what I'm doing, I bet, because like how I'm acting and stuff, you know? She tells me that she doesn't know when she's gonna come back, but that she's not gonna be out there, that she just doesn't feel comfortable now, and I'm not making her feel comfortable with what's going on. I was like, oh, do you want me to lie to you? My mom would have slapped me in my mouth. But I was like, you want me to lie to you? She's like, of course I don't want you to lie to me. I just want to know what's going on. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, are you going to call her? I'm like, you should call her. I'm like, she's upstairs. Maybe she'll answer. Maybe she'll tell you why she's upstairs. And so she just hangs up on me. She doesn't tell me like, okay, bye. Nothing. She hangs up on me. I'm like, oh, she's pissed. She's pissed. I hear her phone go off and they just stop. Like, little nasties. Like, they're just like, boom, 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 boom. But then as soon as you can hear the phone, they just... And it was just like, stop. And so they start talking a little bit. I can hear a little bit like, like talking to her. A couple like minutes later, they both come down and she tells me and stuff like, did Peach call me? I was like, yeah. She's like, and what'd you say? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, what did you say? I was like, well, what was said? And so she was like, why are you acting like that? Like, you can tell she was just wanting to see if I had said anything, you know? And I was like, well, what did she say? And she's like, I want to know, like, what did you say? And I'm like, for what? And then so he starts getting annoyed and he tells me and stuff like, just tell her. I'm like, and who are you? And I should have just shut up, because you never know, things can go left, you know? Like, these people are older than me, things could have like went bad. But I don't know why. I was just like reacted to him. Like, I reacted the way I did to him. Like, just don't talk to me, you know? And so he's like, just answer her question. I was like, for what? Like, what was said or what for you to come down with attitude? Like, what did I do, you know? She just tells me like, I just want to know what she said. I was like, she just wanted to know like what you were doing. And I told her that you were upstairs. She's like, why did you tell her I was upstairs? I was like, because you were in the bathroom. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. I was like, what did you say? She's like, I was in the bathroom. I was like, okay, why are you mad? And I'm like just scared inside. And she's just like telling me and stuff that they were gonna go to the store, that if I wanted anything that he was hungry. And I was like, no. And she's like, okay, que bueno. She was like, if she calls back, tell her that I already went to sleep. I was like, I'm not gonna lie to her. Like, I'm not gonna tell her anything. She's like, what do you mean you're not gonna lie to her? I was like, I'm not gonna tell her anything, but I'm not gonna lie to her. She asks me. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not gonna lie to her if she asks me, but I won't tell her if she don't ask me. And so she keeps going back. We keep going back and forth. And I swear it was like freaking sister fight. And she gets all flustered and she's like, "Ay, okay, whatever." And just leaves. And I can hear him like talking shit, calling me a little bitch and everything. But the thing is, we could have been cool. She was just nasty. Like, how are you going to be my friend? And then you're going to go around and be like, bloop, 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 and then, no, like, we would have been so cool. So I get a call from Mr. Peach and he's like asking me how things are, that Mrs. Peach seems kind of off and that he can tell that she doesn't want to be there, and that if I could just make sure that the house is clean just in case they come home tonight, that he kind of just wants to, you know, make her feel better. He was a little sweetheart with her. And so I was like, you know, I don't know. I did tell her that Baltimore was just acting kind of suspicious and she's been upstairs a lot. I was like, and he goes, why is she upstairs? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if she's using the bathroom, but she's been going upstairs a lot. And he's like, what's a lot? And I was like, pretty much all day. He's like, is she in her room? I was like, I don't know. I don't go upstairs because I don't want to, you know, get in trouble, or what if she gets upset and I just don't want to be put in that uncomfortable situation. And he goes, no, yeah, totally get it. Hopefully she's just using the bathroom or she's using one of the rooms. It could be that, you know? And so he's telling me like, can you just make sure that the house is clean and it's ready for them? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I start cleaning. I make sure that the house is like, I'm getting it ready for them because like she's gonna come home. She's upset. So they come back. She asks me like, hey, like, did she call? Anything new? Any new like updates or anything? And I'm like, no. And she's like asking me like why I cleaned and stuff, because it was getting a little bit dirty, you know. And so I tell her like, why not? Like I'm giving her like attitude, like what? Because I don't want to be too nice and I don't want to be too rude. But at the same time, I'm just like why are you talking to me? Don't talk to me. So I'm pretty much telling her like, why wouldn't I clean? Like the house is getting dirty. Like why are we gonna make that, like let the house get dirty? And she's like, well, we're supposed to be relaxing. I was like, okay, like I'm relaxing, but like I just want to make sure the house is clean. And so she's like, okay. She's like, oh, I don't know. Alexis like, and she's saying my name right? Because she calls me Alexa. She's like, oh, I don't know, Alexis. She's like, me siento como, like, I feel like you're hiding something from me. And I was like what? And she's like, I don't know, I just feel something. And I was like, okay. She has snacks and stuff, and she's like telling me like, you know, go ahead, grab whatever you want. I'm like, inside I'm like, no, because we're not friends and I'm not gonna act like we are, and I'm not gonna take anything from her that she can throw back in my face later, you know. So I'm like, okay, thank you. So she goes upstairs, they go back to doing what they're doing, and it's just so weird. Okay. Oh, and when he came in, he didn't say nothing to me. Like, you could tell I rubbed him the wrong way. I don't care. Like, we could have been cool, whatever. But your homie over here is real disrespectful. So she ruined it because I'm pretty nice. Like, I give you what you give me. It's not like if I just attack for no reason. Like, no, you're being rude. So you get what you get. And so he didn't say anything to me. So they go back to doing whatever they were doing, you know. It's freaking loud. It's uncomfortable like a mother. And Peach, she's starting to text me more. She's just asking like, hey, what's going on? And I'm just telling her like nothing. She's asking me if everything's good. I'm like, yep. Because at the same time, I didn't want to tell her like everything. Like that's just, I don't know. It's weird. What if I tell her everything? She calls her right away. They go off. She cleans up all the evidence. Whatever. Like you never know. I tell her nothing. I ask her, does she know when she's coming? She's like, I don't know. We're probably gonna stay another night. I'm like, okay. Like I have to talk to my mom. And I have to, because even though my mom was just like out there doing stuff, like I still checked in with her to let her know, because I was always scared of like something bad happening, my mom never knowing what was going on, you know. I had to call her and I had to tell the ex like, hey, I'm staying another night with my mom, things are getting pretty bad, like I need to stay with my mom, you know. And he was pretty much giving me crap for it too, because he thought I was up to no good, which I really wasn't. I was just house sitting pretty much, you know. That was drama within itself. Baltimore comes back downstairs and she asks me and stuff like, how long do I think that they're going to be like on this trip? And I'm like, honestly, like I don't know, like he shouldn't even be here that long, because like low-key a part of me was like, this is probably gonna blow up in my face, like, oh, she's just like, she's a lost soul, you know. I always feel guilty, and I don't know what that's called, because like I even feel guilty sometimes of like when someone like deserves something, and I always I like there's a little part of me where I'm like, like I hate it, and I hate that about myself. Like it can be someone who ran over a puppy and like low-key I feel bad for the person. I'm like, even if it's like intentional, I'm just like, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a term for it. Cause she's like asking me like, how long do you think be? I was like, I don't know, but like maybe he shouldn't be here. Like don't like push your luck. And she's like, why? What are you saying? I was like, nothing. I'm not saying anything to her. I was like, but don't push your luck. I don't know how long they're gonna be. You don't want to piss her off. And like she had done other stuff like that was bad, that she was already like on Peach's like shit list, like don't. She was already like pushing it, and they already had problems with like her talking to dudes and like sneaking them in the garage, or like just like things where it's like that shouldn't have been happening. Like what are you doing, you know? So I was telling her like don't push your luck, and so she was like getting attitude with me and like trying to get like, you know, kind of like trying to put her hands like and ¿qué va a pasar? And like, what's gonna happen? And I'm like, oh my god. I was like, you know what, Sabes, kid, like I don't even care. Me vale. If anything happens, I don't care. And she was like telling me like, no, like what, like what? I'm like, I'm just saying, I'm not saying anything, but what if they just happen to pop up? And she's like, ugh. And so she walks away. Peaches doesn't come home that night. The whole time I stayed up because they were just like at it. The whole time I'm like, she's gonna come. Like she's she did. They're gonna come. Like they're gonna come right now. And no. So I woke up and he's sitting on the couch like a little bit too close for comfort. And I just like wake up, and because I didn't want to sleep upstairs. Like I could have had like one of the bedrooms. I did not want to sleep upstairs. Like it was just weird, and I can't believe I even passed out on the couch. But I stayed up waiting, thinking that they were gonna come home, right? So I wake up and I'm like, oh my god, like not here. On my phone, Peaches had texts and stuff that they're gonna stay another night and stuff, like things are going better now. And so I'm like, oh okay, Mr. Peach already like messaged me, and he was like, hey, hope everything's going good, like we're gonna stay the night. So they checked in. So I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking like if they're checking in this way, that they're gonna let us know when they're gonna be coming on their way, right? Wrong. I wake up, he's watching TV, has his feet kicked up, and he's just like, he had no socks on, he's smelling musty, and like I'm like, he don't even look like he showered. He's been here for like 2 days now, and like, are you showering, sir? Like he just look musty, and I'm just like, you're still wearing the same gray tee, I got a little ketchup stain on it, gross. And so I just wake up and I'm like, oh god. And he's like telling me like, you know, like you snore really loud. I was like, okay. And I was like, I was tired. And he was like, of what? I was like, I'm just tired. He's like, but of what? And I'm like, I'm just tired. It was just so weird. I was like, I'm just tired. And so I just get up and I'm going upstairs to shower upstairs because there's a shower down, but I'm like, nah. So I shower upstairs and I run into Baltimore, and she's like, she has like some of the sheets and she's gonna wash them and stuff, and it's just like nasty. And so she's like telling me stuff like, what do you have that face on? I was like, nothing. And so I'm going to shower. She's like, what, did he say something? And I was like, no. She's like, did you say something? I was like, no. I was like, but he is weird. I was like, and so gross, like, and she's like, what? I was like, no, like, I just never would have thought like you and him. She's like, you think he's too good for me? I'm like, no, like you look like you're too good for him. I was like, but I don't even know if that, I can't believe I'm even saying that, you know? Because I was just like, because like, dude, But she's like, did he say anything? I was like, no, he didn't say anything. She's like, okay, well, you tell me if he says anything. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, she probably low-key knew he was a pervert or something, because she was just like on me, and like you can kind of see that she kind of cared a little bit. And then me, I'm like, oh, she cares about me, but no, she did not. So I take my shower, I come out, we're going downstairs, I'm doing chores, and I'm like, okay, like I have a feeling they're coming home today, because Peach hasn't said anything, Mr. Peach hasn't said anything. I just have a feeling, and like now we're going on day 3. They did say 2 to 3 days maybe. So I'm like, ugh. And so Baltimore comes, she's like, she's not gonna come until the weekend. I'm like, what? They're gonna be gone that long? She's like, yeah. I was like, I don't think I can stay that long. She's like, no, it's okay. You can tell them that you are gonna stay that long, but it's fine. Like I can text you so that you don't have to be here, because it's, you know, it's just weird, and I feel like I can't be as loud. I'm like, bitch, you're very loud. Like, get out of my face. So I'm like, what? No, like it just wasn't making sense to me. I was like, there's no way that they would be gone for this long. Like it just made no sense. Fast forward, we're eating. We're eating a lot. We're eating. They start being really cute, touchy feely. We go watch some TV and stuff, and there's literally like it was just so weird, because I'm like. Like now when I look back, I'm like, you should have just left. Like, why were you just there? But I had no friends, you guys. I had nowhere to go, and I didn't want to go to the ex. So I was like, and I just had to stay there. So they start getting really touchy-feely, start making out. And so I'm just like, ugh. Like I just go like that. He grabs her, carries her upstairs, being all like cute and like gross with each other. And you can just hear. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so I'm just texting, and Peach just happens to message me, and she's like, coming home today, smiley face, see you soon. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking it's gonna be like a little bit longer, right? Wrong. So as soon as that text hit, within 5 minutes, the door's opening, and I'm like, and I make that face. I'm like, and Mr. Peach is like, what's wrong? I was like, oh my God. He's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh my God. And like, I'm just like, oh, I can't even talk. And Peach comes in, and she's like, what's wrong? Because she could see my face. And I'm like, you shouldn't go upstairs. And that's what I say. You shouldn't go upstairs. As soon as I said that, she goes running up the stairs. But not even like a loud like run. She's like going like light. Like she's just walking on air, because you know that she's like, I'm gonna catch this bitch, right? So she's just walking on air. He looks at me, and he was just like, really, Alexis? And I'm like, I didn't do nothing. And he's like, but you could have done something. And I was like, no, because I couldn't have. And right away the kids are like, Alexis. And so I'm like paying attention to the kids. All I hear is a big, what the fuck? Like loud. And then he follows up, Mr. Peach, he follows up, and he was like, babe, what's going on, babe? Like he was just, you could tell he was just like exhausted when he walked through the door, and he's just like, oh my God, what the hell is gonna happen, right? He goes up, and then I just see him just like throwing shoes down the stairs. The shoes are rolling down the stairs, and I'm like, oh, it's about to go down. And so I'm just sitting there, the kids have some snacks, and it was just so ironic. Oh, you know what, let me show you something. Big candy, and they sent me some good stuff. Look at, got a bunch of stuff in here, a bunch of stuff. So this is literally how me and the babies were, okay? Oh, and these ones are Gushers. My mouth is watering. Jordans are being thrown down, pants are being thrown down. I mean, the kids are like, this is good. This is so good. And we're eating them, right? Down comes cheese. I'm sorry in Spanish. And I'm just looking up eating, and he just gives me the look like that. And he just like getting like out. He only has his shirt on, he only has his boxers on, he only has like one sock on. He's like trying to grab his stuff. Mr. Peach is like cussing him out in Spanish, telling him like all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, I can hear Peach and Baltimore is going back and forth. Peach is calling her a puta, and they're just like fighting, like, how could you? In my room, there's all these other rooms, and like cussing her out and swearing. And Mr. Peach is like huffing and puffing. He like slams the door because he just kicked him out, right? Goes into the laundry room, and he sees that the sheets are that has stains, and he's like, oh, like really loud. And I was like, yeah, that was day one. And he just looks at me, and you could tell he's just like pissed. And he's like, are you kidding me, Alexis? You couldn't have told us? And I was like, look, I was really scared. Like, if I would have texted you guys, what if she would have beat my ass or something? Like, what if something would have went down and there's another man in the house? Like, I didn't know what to say. And he's like, you could have left and you could have texted us then. And I was like, I have nowhere to go. Like, and I don't. I could have went to the ex. Like, come on. I could have went there, but I was like, sorry. Like, I don't know what to. Oh my god, Andrew, you scared me! Why did you glide in like that? He literally just like floated and was like, hi. I had somewhere to go. I could have went, but I was like, I didn't want to go. Like, I didn't want to have to explain to him, like, hey, like, why are you here? What's going on? And then, like, hear all the, and, like, there's a man in the house. What? You know? So, I would have just got my ass beat, and then I would have got my ass beat. So, like, you can stay, get your ass beat. You're gonna leave and get your ass beat. It was just that kind of combo, you know? He's pissed. He grabs this stuff, and he's, like, you know, putting it in a bag to throw away. The kids are, like, don't even, it's not, they're not even phased. You know, just munching, like, oh, how was the trip? Like, how was grandma? And just talking to them. And then, eventually, Peach comes down and she is just like so pissed. Like, you can tell she just wanted to, but if she would have, we would have thrown hands on sight, because me and her are the same size, and I would have been like, she comes down and she tells me and stuff like, I understand why, I just don't understand why. And it's just like, what? Well, 1 + 1, just kidding. But I was like, I was scared. Like, I told you something was wrong, and I didn't know how to tell you, because she's like, no, I know. And she was just mad. She's like, you can leave now. And it was, you know, it was kind of awkward. So I was like, okay. And so by the time I'm leaving, because I'm like, I have to go get my stuff. It's upstairs, because like I need my stuff, because I don't have a lot of clothes, you guys. So I'm going upstairs, and as I'm going upstairs, she's kind of like crying. You can like hear her, and I'm just like, sucks to suck, bitch. Just kidding. So I'm like getting my stuff, and like she calls me over, and she's like, did you know? I was like, did I know what? She's like, that she was coming. And I was like, no, you could check my phone, because remember, she didn't tell me. She just said, see you soon. And so I thought there was time. So she's going through it, she's looking at it, she was like, you know, right here it says see you soon. And I was like, yeah, I thought there was time. Like, I was letting you finish. Literally, like, I didn't know. And so she was like, no, I don't believe it's true. What if you deleted it? I was like, okay, believe what you want. I was like, what did Peach say? She's like, that she didn't tell you anything. I was like, okay then. Like, I didn't do anything. Damn it. Just kidding. But I was like, you know? So as I'm like getting stuff, I noticed that one of my shirts is kind of like, if someone just grabbed it and went with it. And so I asked her, I'm like, did you do this? And she's like, see. I was like, this was like the only other shirt that I had. She's like, okay, get it. And then I'm like, nothing. And so I'm just like going to pack whatever. I leave. It was so awkward. Peach is like, I'll see you tomorrow, Alexis. And I was like, damn, okay, shit, I'll see you tomorrow. And so I come the next day. She's not there. She didn't get kicked out, okay? They just put her up in a little hotel for a little bit, for a couple of days, where Peach can like calm down, because Mr. Peach felt so disrespected, and he was so pissed. Like, Peach had to kiss a lot of ass so that Voldemort could come back, because he was just done. Because like I told you, this girl has been doing a lot of shady stuff, and so he was just done. Like, this was it. This was it. And some of his stuff he said that was missing. Like, he had a watch missing, I guess. And they didn't even ask me. They weren't even like, Alexis, did you take it? Because I'm pretty sure they're like, that was a man. Why would Alexis need a watch? Blah, 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 you know? So I go in. She's not there. It was the cool ass couple of days without Baltimore. It was the best. I was living it. I was loving it. But eventually she did come back, and it was just like mad awkward. Like, Mr. Peach did not talk to her for like a long minute. And when she would ask something like, what do you want me to do with this, or like whatever, he would be like, Alexis, tell her to put it over there, or like put it over there, but not even look at her. And I'd be like, so like the cattiness between me and her got even worse. I eventually did have to leave, but that was like, I didn't leave easy, okay? I made it hard. But anyways, that was the time that they got caught. And that was one of the times, because she did not learn. She didn't understand, like, hey, this isn't okay, or hey, this isn't okay. At the same time, where her and Peaches like had a really, really close relationship, she kind of tested the waters a little bit too much. And I feel like she would have gotten away with a lot of the shit that she did. But Peach was married to Mr. Peach, and you could tell like a lot of things, which she wasn't wrong, where it's like, that's not okay. Like, this is not okay, you know? But yeah, so things weren't good with me and her. She knew that like I did something. Peach didn't rat me out. Hallelujah. She did not rat me out, but it was just still like, she knew. Like, she knew something was up without even having to be told, you know? And it was like, the feeling's mutual, bitch. The feeling's mutual. Because even when she would tell me like, what? Like, what's your problem? I was like, don't act like you don't talk about me. I don't talk about you. Why would I talk about you? You don't get brought up in conversations. And it's like, okay. But I wasn't going to sit here and be like, my friend Skillet told me that Prima da 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 said this, and you said this, and you said that. Like, you know, it was like one of those things where she's like, I just know. And if it comes from a reliable source, then I'm going to take it as truth. because that's just what it was. And it was like this all the time. Like when we go to like quinceañeras, or if we would go to like kickbacks or anything like that, and I would go with Mr. and Mrs. Peach. If you have ever been in an environment with a Mexican family, there's a lot of shit talking involved, like a lot. And I was always like the butt of the joke. I was always like that. Oh yeah, that's her. Oh yeah, that's her. Or like, oh no, just tell Alexis to do it. No, it's fine. Tell her to do it. Tell her to do it. Huh, Alexis, you don't mind doing it. Like just shit like that. And it was just like everyone before they even got to meet me, if they had met Baltimore first, they really thought like I was just scum. That I was just like this little mocosa that was just like, they like, it wasn't even like they pitied me. It was just like, oh, like she's just up to no good. And it was just horrible. Like she wasn't a good person. She wasn't. And that's why I have so many like horrible stories about this person, because she just wasn't, she wasn't nice. But yeah, anyways, I tend to ramble because I'm like, and it's been a long time since I've done a story time, and I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a long time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you guys enjoy story times, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you guys haven't already to keep updating my videos. Make sure to comment down below because you could be the next notification shout out. And if you know someone that likes story times, send them this video. I love you guys. Besos a todos. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.